Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Mormonism with the Murph, where we do a fair and objective analysis of the church and its truth claims, its history, doctrine, and policy. So we're looking at the Book of Mormon witnesses. In part two, we had a look at the credibility of the three witnesses, Martin Harris, David Whitmer, and Oliver Cowdery. We had a look at some of the things critics would say against the witnesses, and we looked at some apologetic responses. In this part three, we'll be looking at the 8 witnesses who claimed to both see and hold the gold plates, but didn't claim to see an angel or have any sort of visionary experiences. And then other witnesses like Mary Whitmer and people like Emma Smith and such, who testified of either having a visionary experience or just holding the gold plates under a cloth. And we'll be watching a video at the end. This by Book of Mormon Central, so we're like defending the Book of Mormon and the gold plates. So let's sort of dive in to this episode. So this comes from the start of the Book of Mormon, the testimony of the 8 witnesses. It says, "Be it known unto all nations, kindred, tongues, and people, on whom this work shall come, that Joseph Smith Jr., the translator of this work, has shown unto us the plates of which hath been spoken, which have the appearance of gold, and as many of the leaves as the said Smith is translated, we did handle with our hands, and we also saw the engravings thereon, all of which has the appearance of ancient work, and of curious workmanship. And this we bear record with words of soberness that the said Smith has shown unto us, for we have seen and hefted and know of a surety that the said Smith has got the plates of which we have spoken. And we give our names unto the world to witness unto the world that we have of which we have seen. We lie not, God bearing witness." And many of the witnesses were, the Whitmers, and also Hiram Page and Joseph Smith Sr., Hiram Smith, Samuel Smith, testified as seeing and hefting and holding the gold plates. Now, critics would point to a quote. This comes from an interview with Theodore Turley and John Whitmer. So John Whitmer was one of the 8 witnesses. Whether to affirm or deny his testimony regarding the gold plates, Whitmer said, "I say I handled those plates. They were shown to me by a supernatural power." Now, a critic would say, well, why would a supernatural power be necessary if the plates actually existed? Couldn't Joseph just invite the men he wanted to be witnesses over to his house, take the plates out of the box where he kept them, and pass them around? Why are visions and supernatural means necessary to see the plates? So the implication is they were shown to him by a supernatural power, so that it was more of a vision than him just sort of in a literal sort of tangible way, just him passing and showing the plates to the witnesses. So this is the longer quote, and you can read through it. Even when he was kind of most hostile against the church, he says he doesn't know if the translation was true, he can't read it, but he doesn't deny the existence of the plates. But some would then claim that, oh, they never actually saw the plates, but they were in a cloth, and that's why they were shown by supernatural power. And I believe it's the quote from Stephen Burnett where he claims that Martin Harris said that none of the witnesses actually saw the plates themselves in reality. Now, this comes from Richard Lloyd Anderson. He's a late apologist. I'll quote this. I'll put the link in the description. But this is what he has to say about the Turley report. He says, but Turley writes this now 4 years after the fact, so you have to trust his memory. He said, "I'll call on you, John Whitmer. You say Carl is a moral and good man. I want to quote Carl in a minute. Do you believe him when he says the Book of Mormon is true, or when he says it's not true?" And he said, Whitmer asked, "Do you hint at me?" Turley replied, "If the cap fits you, wear it. All I know is that you published to the world an angel to present those plates to Joseph Smith." Well, I opened the Book of Mormon, and that it isn't what it reads. It reads that he saw the characters and hefted the plates. So he's saying Turley is claiming that John Whitmer claimed to see the angel in the gold plates, but that's not, because he was one of the 8 witnesses. He did not claim to see the angel. So Turley thinks that John Whitmer has testified to an angel. That's got to get mixed in here some way. So he's calling into Turley's reliability. Whitmer replied, "I now say I handled those plates. There are fine engravings on both sides. I handled them." Well, that is exactly what Whitmer said in a dozen other very well recorded statements that he saw, handled, and lifted. And then he said they were shown to me by a supernatural power. If you want to be a good proof texter, and these people are, they pull out supernatural power and say, aha, that's the subjective experience. They weren't really handling, that's the giveaway. Again, do you believe the 95% or the 5%? So they're saying that this is sort of one quote out of many others that say that they saw, hefted, handled. Turley, in reporting that, may be reporting John Whitmer's language because John Whitmer had been a scribe for the Book of Mormon and it's so, sorry, I'll say that again. John Whitmer had been a scribe for the Book of Mormon, and it's so interesting to me that in one other interview by Myron Bond, John Whitmer said, as we were translating, I felt a supernatural power. When John Whitmer wrote his editorial farewell in the Messenger and Advocate in 1836, he said, I handled the plates. I want the readers to know I lifted the plates, I handled the plates, and I know they're translated by the power of God. So he felt the power of God, which was a supernatural power, and that may be John Whitmer's language, and that may be the issue, that he felt such a spiritual force that when he was translating the Book of Mormon, and when he actually had the privilege of lifting the plates, that he would say that. But it's not an either/or, it's a both. And I mean, it's silly to even talk about that in terms of evidence we have. But you do have in John Whitmer's statement the misconception of the interviewer that he'd seen the plates, and obviously the tendency of the interviewer to want to make seeing the plates something more. I didn't restate that correctly. The interviewer said he had seen an angel in the plates. That was the misconception, and some of that misconception may have been creeping into that interview. It's the only one we've got where he says that there was a supernatural power, because the interviewer wants there to be more than just handling the plates. So really, Richard Lloyd Anderson is saying there should be maybe caution or skepticism with this account from Turley, that he beheld it by, or it was shown to him by a supernatural power. He may be conflating, feeling spiritual power, the power of God, as he held the plates or witnessed the translation process, and that this may be a misconception because the interviewer thought he saw the angel and the gold plates. So that's sort of the apologetic response to it. This is another quote from Fair Latter-day Saints. So after leaving the church, John Whitmer said, it may not be amiss in this place to give a statement to the world concerning the work of the Lord, as I've been a member of this Church of Latter-day Saints from its beginning, to say that the Book of Mormon is a revelation from God. I have no hesitancy, but with all confidence have signed my name to it as such. And I hope that my patrons will indulge me in speaking freely on this subject, as I am leaving the editorial department. Therefore, I desire to testify to all that will come to the knowledge of this address, that I have most assuredly seen the plates from whence the Book of Mormon is translated, that I have handled these plates. I know of a surety that Joseph Smith Jr. has translated the Book of Mormon by the gift and power of God, and in this thing the wisdom of the wise most assuredly has perished. Therefore know ye, O ye inhabitants of the earth, wherever this address may come, that I have in this thing freed my garments of your blood, whether you believe or disbelieve, the statements of your unworthy friend and well-wisher. So in this statement, there's no mention of a supernatural power, just seeing the plates, handling them, and he testified that Joseph Smith translated the gold plates. Samuel Smith said in the spring of 1832 that he told a group of people that he was a witness of the Book of Mormon. He said he knew his brother Joseph had the plates, the prophet had shown them to him, and he had handled them and seen the engravings thereon, which supports the testimony of the 8 witnesses. Under a cloth. So when John Whitmer was asked, did you see the plates covered with a cloth? He answered emphatically no. Joseph Smith handed them uncovered into our hands, and we turned the leaves sufficient to satisfy us. So it seems like this quote maybe answers whether or not they saw them supernaturally, but they're always covered with a cloth, because that's the question being asked. Other unofficial witnesses. So there are 3 witnesses, including David Whitmer, Oliver Cowdery, and Martin Harris. There are the 8 witnesses, including Joseph Smith Sr., Hiram, Samuel H. Smith, Christian Whitmer, Jacob Whitmer, Peter Whitmer, John Whitmer, and Hiram Page. Additionally, there are several informal witnesses, people who either saw, felt, or hefted the plates, but were not required to give their names in a formal statement, testifying to the plates' reality. These witnesses include people such as Emma Smith, Lucy Mack Smith, Catherine Smith, Mary Whitmer, Josiah Stoll, Alva Beeman, Joseph Knight Sr., Luke Johnson, Harrison Burgess, Lucy Harris, and Joseph McCune Sr. And we're going to have a look at a few of the quotes. Mary Whitmer, she claimed that she saw both the plates and the angel. Her experience is interesting because even though it includes the divine messenger, Moroni, even he is portrayed in rather ordinary terms. He shows up as a man while she is out milking cows. He shows her the record, and then he is gone. So she has this sort of somewhat visionary experience, but it talks about him appearing just as a man and showing her the plates, and she wasn't with Joseph Smith or anyone else at the time, so she had this separate encounter and experience with the gold plates. Emma Smith felt the plates through a cloth as she moved them around the house while cleaning and doing other chores, so she at least felt the plates as well, so she is another testimony that the plates were real, whether or not they were authentic, ancient record or not. Catherine Smith felt the plates through a cloth as she moved them around the house. William Smith, Joseph Smith's younger brother, testified in June 1884, that when Joseph first brought the plates home, Joseph's family handled them and could tell what they were. They were not quite as large as this Bible. He could tell whether they were round or square. He could raise the leaves this way. One could easily tell that they were not a stone, hewn out to deceive, or even a block of wood. Being a mixture of gold and copper, they were much heavier than stone. Interesting, he says mixture of gold and copper, going back to what were the plates made out of, and apologists speculating probably Tambaga, whatever it was called. Being a mixture of gold and copper, they're much heavier than stone and much heavier than wood. He also stated in 1883 that he saw Joseph bring the plates home from the hill wrapped in a tow frock. According to him, they weighed about 60 pounds. Josiah Stoll caught a glimpse of the corner covering slipped off when Joseph handed them to him. Stoll said the plates resembled a stone of greenish cast, which is consistent with the plates being made of a copper alloy, which had oxidized. Joseph Knight Sr. was among those at the Smith home when Joseph first retrieved the plates in 1827. According to William Smith, those present were allowed to feel and heft the plates. So lots of people claim to feel and heft the plates. So if you believe that they were just some sort of like brick or stone or something, there's people who felt the plates, turned the pages, some under a cloth, and I think the 8 witnesses, according to some of the statements, did see the plates themselves uncovered, in my view. We're going to watch a video now. This comes from Book of Mormon Central, sort of like an evidences video of the 3 and the 8 witnesses and the other witnesses. So I'm going to put that on now for people to watch. So let me just get that loaded.
Joseph Smith claimed that he translated the Book of Mormon from a set of golden plates that were given to him by an angel. After the translation was complete, Joseph said he returned the plates to the angel, making them unavailable today for examination. This account may come across as a little too convenient and lead you to wonder, is there any evidence that the plates existed at all? Introduced at the beginning of every copy of the Book of Mormon are the testimonies of the 3 and 8 witnesses. These 3 witnesses, Oliver Cowdery, David Whitmer, and Martin Harris, wrote that they were shown the plates by an angel, who also attested to them that Joseph Smith translated the book by the gift and power of God. It would be easy to say that these 3 men conspired with Joseph Smith, only giving their testimony of the angel and the gold plates to perpetuate a scam. But that explanation loses its strength when we consider that all 3 men eventually left the church, having at some point fallen out with Joseph Smith. Oliver Cowdery and Martin Harris later rejoined the church after Smith's death, but David Whitmer would remain estranged for the rest of his life. Despite their falling out with Smith, all 3 maintained their testimony of having seen the angel and the gold plates. In fact, David Whitmer famously went out of his way on numerous occasions to give interviews and correct newspapers he felt had misrepresented his testimony. Once he wrote, "Those who know me best know that I have always adhered to that testimony, and that no man may be misled or doubt my present views in regards to the same. I do again affirm the truth of my statements." The fact that these men never wavered in their testimony of the plates dismantles the claim of collusion. After all, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain by maintaining their testimonies after falling away from the church. And yet, each, independently of the others, insisted that their published testimony was true, whatever their disagreements with Joseph Smith may have been. With collusion being highly unlikely, others have questioned whether the 3 witnesses could have been hallucinating. Some sources quote the witnesses as saying that they saw the plates with their spiritual eyes, or with the eye of faith, which some take to mean they only imagined the plates and the angel. But that sort of language is scriptural in nature, and doesn't automatically imply hallucination. Rather, it means that the witnesses were prepared for a visionary experience in the scriptural sense. David Whitmer made this clear in an interview published in 1888. "Of course we were in the spirit when we had a view of the plates. For no man can behold the face of an angel except in a spiritual view, but we were in the body also, and everything was as natural to us as it was at any time." Whitmer insisted that he was not under any hallucination during the vision, saying, "I saw with these eyes." One might still not be convinced by the witness given by Cowdery, Harris, and Whitmer, thinking it sounds too ethereal with an angel showing them the plates. This is where the testimony of the 8 witnesses comes in, as they were given the simple, straightforward opportunity to handle the plates directly. No angel arrayed in glorious light is described by Oliver Cowdery. They simply wrote that, "As many of the leaves as the said Smith has translated, we did handle with our hands. And we also saw the engravings thereon, all of which has the appearance of ancient work and of curious workmanship." Once again, collusion is unlikely, given that 3 of the 8 witnesses were either excommunicated or left the church. And as with the 3 witnesses, they never recanted their testimony as published in the Book of Mormon. To explain the testimony of the 8 witnesses, some think that Joseph Smith fabricated a set of tin or lead plates that he used to trick them with. However, there is no credible historical evidence that Joseph Smith somehow faked a set of plates, let alone that he had the wherewithal to do so. Martin Harris, before he became one of the 3 witnesses, held the plates while they were in a wooden chest, and knew that they must have been either lead or gold. But Riley added that Joseph had not enough credit to buy so much lead. This theory also ignores the testimony of those who saw the angel. If we only had the testimony of the 3 witnesses, you might be able to dismiss their vision as a hallucination. And if we only had the testimony of the 8 witnesses, you might be able to say that they were being tricked by bogus plates. But combined, their testimonies support the claim that Joseph not only had plates with the appearance of gold, but also that those plates were divinely given. If the official testimonies of the 3 and 8 witnesses are not enough, there are also the testimonies left by other secondary witnesses who encountered the plates. For example, Josiah Stoll testified in 1830 that he was one of the first to handle the plates under a linen cloth when Joseph returned from finally obtaining them in 1827. Another witness was Mary Whitmer. According to sources close to her, Mary was shown the plates by the angel Moroni as she was milking cows. This happened completely independent of Joseph Smith or the others involved in the translation of the plates. Other women, including Lucy Mack and Emma Smith, handled the plates and other artifacts Joseph brought home. Emma, for example, at one time related, "I once felt of the plates as they thus lay on the table, tracing their outline and shape. They seemed to be pliable like thick paper, and would rustle with a metallic sound when the edges were moved by the thumb, as one does sometimes thumbing through the edges of a book." The combined weight of these secondary witnesses further complicates the arguments that the plates were either imagined or fabricated, since these witnesses include those who, independent of Joseph Smith, reported encounters with the plates and the angel. Thanks to all of these different accounts, we have a pretty good idea of what the plates were like. The eyewitnesses described the plates as being gold or having the appearance of gold. But it's important to keep in mind that the plates most likely were not pure 24-karat gold. Not only would the plates have been too heavy if they were, but they also would have been too soft to write on. The witnesses reported that the plates weighed approximately between 40 to 60 pounds. Josiah Stoll also added the intriguing detail that he noticed a slight green hue on the corner of the plates. This reinforces the argument that the plates were likely composed of a Mesoamerican copper and gold alloy called tumbaga, which would account for the weight and the green hue, which was likely the result of the oxidation of the copper. We also know that the dimensions of the plates were about 6 or 7 inches by 8 inches, and were about as thick as common tin or pliable paper, according to the witnesses. On both sides of the leaves of the book were written engravings or characters, and 3 D-shaped rings held the plates together, with a large portion of them being sealed physically in some manner. The reported composition and dimensions of the plates by the witnesses are all consistent with each other, and were given at different times and on different occasions, with just slight variation. This is further evidence against claims of collusion among the witnesses and reinforces their credibility. From a historical perspective, it is difficult to disavow the reality of the gold plates. There is simply too much compelling documented evidence attesting to their existence. It's safe to say that between the years 1827 to 1830, Joseph Smith had in his possession a set of plates that were seen, hefted, felt, and examined by a number of witnesses. People today are free to disbelieve the witnesses if they like, but they cannot accuse them of fraud or insincerity based on any credible historical evidence. This is why the respected historian of early Mormonism, Richard Bushman, once remarked, Most of the detailed sources about the coming forth of the Book of Mormon were written by believers, and to follow them too closely infuses a narrative with their faith. Secular historians are, therefore, more inclined than Mormons to suppress source material from Joseph's closest associates. Or in other words, people are free to disbelieve these witnesses, but they must still acknowledge the picture that we see from the historical evidence. There is nothing in these sources that compel an alternative view. So even if we don't have the plates available today, there is evidence attesting that Joseph Smith did in fact have them, and that he got them from an angel, just as he claimed. Thanks for watching this episode of Evidences of the Book of Mormon. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and help us make more videos by donating. Thanks.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. The next one, we will be looking at the Book of Mormon witnesses, spiritual eye, second sight, and was it all hallucination? So we'll be citing a lot of like the critics' arguments, pushing back, especially on that video that we looked at there. But that video probably is the church's position on the evidence for the Book of Mormon witnesses. So we'll be looking at the quotes from Martin Harris about seeing, through the eye of faith, spiritual eyes. We'll be looking at the evidence for could it have been a hallucination, and we'll be looking at maybe some apologetic responses as well. So I'm excited for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Mormonism with the Murph. I've got more content coming your way. Comment underneath any thoughts that you have. If you've enjoyed this, please share it with other people as well. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all very soon on the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.